that saying, don't you, chums, the thing that Big Brother is watching you, you know? And we were told that, weren't we, many, many years ago. I think, was it in the 1950s, with that very famous radio play where apparently, all thanks to the advent of moving camera, secret camera, things like that, everything that you do will be recorded and could be used against you. Oh yes. Well, Rachel Reeves and her team have decided to up the ante somewhat. But as ever, there's a twist. Let me explain. Morning, good to see you, chums. Thank you so much for joining me. And as ever, welcome one and all brand new subscribers. It is lovely to have your company. Thank you for your lovely response and comments regarding the latest by royal appointment. Fascinating, I know, about Meghan and the money. You always have to just look for the money, right? Because ultimately that's where the real power lies, you know. These people, I've often said this, haven't I? But you know, when you work in the world of theatre and stuff, it's always people's money that invests in something, never the originator. Always think about that. If the person truly believed in their musical play, drama, you know, Walker Artery or offbeat thing in an art centre or something, why don't they invest in it? But they get your money, and if it's a flop, oh dear, not my fault, you know. That's the thing. It's a bit like this woman, Rachel Reeves, a total and utter disaster. A wonderful opportunity to be an historical figure. She will now go down as the very first female Chancellor of the Exchequer for the Labour Party, but an utter disaster. Lies from the start about her background, her career, what she actually did. They dubbed, of course, Rachel from accounts. And suddenly, you know, we saw that, didn't we? The thing where she burst into tears inside, of course, Parliament. And everyone, oh dear, it's terrible. All calculated, all simply of a woman who really shouldn't be in the position. Now you might say, oh, that's harsh, you know, whatever. Look, that sort of job is tough. It is really. I've interviewed many chancellors of the Exchequer, and even the toughest of guys say, you know, it's really hard to balance the books. None has balanced it as badly as Rachel, and she just keeps coming back for more, making you far worse off, even though she got into power on fake promises, like her boss, Sir Keir Starmer. What's interesting here, though, is that now, alongside the HMRC, well, they decided to snoop on your life a little bit further. And this is where, you know, people think this is new, but it's not new. It's just an exaggeration of what's been going on before. But particularly this time around, all thanks to AI, they can take a particular demographic, a particular age bracket and area, so that they can utilize and push this narrative in the mainstream media. Let me explain. You see, now they plan to look at your social media work, your social accounts. So imagine if you put in your tax return and you say, I've earned £25,000 this year or £40,000 this year. But if your social media account shows you having a holiday in Las Vegas, or perhaps in, you know, America, or trekking around the Himalayas, or just doing a lifetime holiday that you've always wanted and always saved up for, well, then you could be called in to explain that. Oh yes, so they scan everything from whether you go to a fancy restaurant, where you may shop, if you put something online and say, couldn't believe it, you know, I finally got this mascara for £40 on, where, you know what I'm saying? It's anything that they feel that would give away the lifestyle that simply doesn't match the lifestyle that you have. Now, of course, the savvy people, and I've often said this, wouldn't be portraying themselves like that on social media. I never understand why people post holiday snaps while they're away from their property, alerting people in the area that the property potentially could be empty and easy to burgle. They come back from holiday, they find it. Of course, they've used these tactics for years, trying to catch out people who they believe were claiming disability allowances and then proven not. There are many that are doing that, of course. And what's interesting is, this is the key factor, right, chums? They can pick the demographic. So if they don't want to alienate their potential voting area, then they can just turn a glib blind eye over that. This is on top of course, and just take this in, that the £75 bonus that currently the Home Office, headed up by this woman, Yvette Cooper, are now being paid to ensure that they get as many asylum applications through as possible. So if you thought you were alone in what's going on in this world, you're never alone with Rachel Reeves. One way or another, she's out to get you, and more importantly, your money. Now do you feel sorry for the woman crying in the Houses of Parliament? I'll leave it up to you. Neil Shaw, Kensington, London.